Souls-like, a genre of game which has gotten increasingly popular over the past decade, usually used to describe any game that is similar in essence to the Soulsborne series, games like Dark Souls or Elden Ring. But what actually is a Souls-like? Everyone's got their own personal definitions. For example, some people might think a Souls-like is any roguelike game with challenges you must overcome. Others might agree that it defines any game which has a parry or dodge mechanic that is primarily combat focused. Most, however, can agree, at least in part, one thing, that it's absolute bullshit. I dodged that fuck. But I believe that a Souls-like is any game that is aptly difficult, but not unfairly difficult. One that gives the player control, not only over the gameplay, but the story and their own destiny in the game. Which brings us to our main point. After I completed the Dark Souls trilogy, I felt like there's just this itch that needed to be scratched, you know? And these two games have done an amazing job at scratching that itch. I wanted to share with you these games and why I think they're so amazing and why you should try them. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, real quick, right now while I'm editing this, I didn't know where else to put this in. I just had a Cosmic Brownie. Best thing in my entire fucking life. If you haven't had one, go get one right now. If you haven't had one in a while, go do it. Just go to your nearest gas station, they've got them. The first game, and in my opinion, the better of the two, we're going to start with Nine Souls. Really, I don't know where to start. This game is amazing, and there's just nothing to hate about it. Um, the boss fights are incredible. The fast-paced combat feels smooth and natural. Back there, you can see some of my gameplay. It just looks clean. There's nothing to hate about it. It's so complex and yet so simple. It just feels right. Maybe bosses aren't really your thing. That's fine. There's an insane amount of exploration to do. It's a whole open map with plenty to explore. You can explore each intricate level, go through collecting secret collectibles and other upgrades. There's a bunch of optional content you can do, and if you're worried you're missing out on anything, you can get these data chips and give them to an NPC to find out where everything is to know if you're missing something. And then you can go and explore and find where you're missing it at. But what good is the combat or the exploration without any sort of real story, you know? Well, don't worry because they got you covered on that too. There's an immense amount of lovable and creative characters, each with their own backstories and just general data about them that you can explore. I mean, right here, after I beat this boss, there's a whole cutscene, and it's this big emotional thing. Even though you know nothing about these characters, you know how much they mean to each other and the hardships they've faced. Just watch.
阮溪害一伊，阮那阮老友，阮是刘宝时。
Oh my god, and the achievement I get after that is as long as we have each other. Just from that little cutscene and that achievement I was referring to, you get a sort of sense for how the characters feel both towards each other and towards themselves. And then after this boss fight, you get to go into their soulscape and see their memories and the way that they feel, the way that they act, why they act that way. And you really get to reflect on each and every one of these boss fights. It makes for an amazing gameplay loop, and it's honestly heartwarming and saddening at the same time. The story itself is also incredible. There's so much lore to dive into, and you don't have to go search up some lore video afterwards because it's all explained clear and simple straight to you in the game. All you have to do is pay attention and you'll understand everything. The game is set on this super futuristic high-tech spacecraft used almost like a Noah's Ark of sorts to transport this alien race, the Solarians, to hopefully a new potential home after their last one was ravished by a virus. There's so much more deep content to explore in this, and really just have to play the game for yourself. Another amazing and intricate part of the game is its soundtrack. The developers put a lot of work into developing the music of this game to make it match the vibes of each specific location, each boss fight. It feels like a genuine boss fight. None of them disappoint. They all have that adrenaline pumping, just magnificence to them. Really, it is a masterpiece. Right here, just listen to the music of the hub world where you spend a lot of your time just moving back and forth between areas. Just listen to the tranquility of it and just the overall beauty that the developers put into it. And don't worry, there's plenty of content for all you little freaks and gooners out there. Now, of course, every game's got its highs and its lows. I spent close to an hour trying to find this NPC that I walked past like 10 different times. But what can you do? Now, there's a lot of really creative and interesting parts to this game that I could spend hours explaining. Right here, I really like this part where it tests your ability to parry up to this point. It's a very niche thing, and I feel like this game deserves a lot more appreciation than it's getting. But I think you guys should just go ahead and play it for yourselves. Um, it's on Steam and console, as far as I'm aware. Um, an incredible game, really a masterpiece. 10 out of 10. I would genuinely recommend. With nothing left to talk about, I think it's time we move on to our next game, Lords of the Fallen.
After eons of tyranny, the demon god Adir was finally overthrown by humanity. Though fear of his terrible power endured. And so was formed the Hallowed Sentinels. Our duty being to stand vigil for signs of his return. Even exile to another realm could not silence the fallen god forever. And in time, Adir's malignant influence pervaded the world once more. In his hunger for vengeance, Adir orchestrated the return of his demonic army. Light was swallowed by shadow, and with it, hope. A new, grim champion arises. The Dark Crusader. And perhaps it will indeed come to pass that only they who shun the light in order to fight the darkness possess the power to defy a god.
already, that opening sequence is phenomenal. You boot up the game, that's the first thing you see, and you understand exactly what's going on, right? The gods have been defied by humanity, and now it is your job to ensure that humanity can continue to thrive. The combat in this game is a lot slower, a lot more similar to the original Soulsborne series, which makes sense because I do believe that FromSoft, the original creators of the Soulsborne series, were at least in part involved in the creation of this game. A lot of the boss fights are really well thought out, however, even despite the slow-paced gameplay, and it makes everything incredible. There's so many aspects to this game, including the exploration, the characters, and just a lot of the general concept stuff that you don't usually see in a lot of these games. And I think that it's just really a phenomenal game. Still lower ranking than Nine Souls, in my opinion, but still beautiful, amazing game. The biggest pro to this game is that it's not incredibly difficult. I feel like it is a really easy game for a beginner to get into and just understand. In my opinion, if you are really committed to starting your Soulsborne journey per se, I would start with Dark Souls 1, one of the first games to start it all. But if you're more of a casual player, this game still works for you. I never had extreme difficulty with any of the boss fights in this game, and the gameplay is just so satisfying. Another really amazing part of this game is it takes that whole death is not the end philosophy to a whole nother level, where when you die, you legitimately come back and you exist in this sort of primordial state. It really is an incredible concept that I don't think is explored very often. Um, all the areas are designed with both dimensions in mind, and the gameplay can drastically change whether you're in the human dimension or in the lantern dimension. It makes the exploration and the platforming and so on truly amazing because maybe there's an area you can't get past, so you pull out your lantern and a bridge appears. Again, really incredible game. If you are a casual player who still wants to get into the Souls-like category, this is definitely a game I would recommend. The main reason, however, that I place this game lower than Nine Souls is because while the world is absolutely incredible and the gameplay is satisfying just like Nine Souls, a lot of the character development is very shallow. They don't feel the same way that they do in Nine Souls. And Nine Souls, being a much smaller production company, having no actual voice actors for the game, is still incredible despite all the budget cuts. I think this game is doing something really amazing that not enough people are talking about, but maybe we don't need to have an insane budget to still make an incredibly enjoyable game that everyone can enjoy and just get right into. Even with all that said, Lords of the Fallen is still an amazing game, and unlike Nine Souls, it is the only one that actually has a multiplayer. Again, really incredible game, easy to get into. The multiplayer is seamless and really enjoyable. I enjoyed it at least. The bosses are amazing, the designs, the artwork, it's all there. While I don't think this game will ever be getting a sequel, I don't really think it needs one, just because of how genuinely incredible the game is. With that, I think we're going to end this video off here. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. Um, but I would recommend that you at least try a Soulsborne game if you have never tried one. Really, some of the best time I've ever had in my life. Thank you for watching. Real quick thank you to all of you who've made it this far. This is definitely different content than I usually try making, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. If you'd like to take a look at both these games. I will link them down below. They're on Xbox and I believe Steam as well. Again, really amazing games that I think everyone should try. Just honestly amazing games. Thank you all, and I will see you in the next one.